The winter that my life split open, a cat came to live with me. I found her the way people often find what will undo them, by accident on a night when the world feels thin and brittle. I was walking home because I could not bear to sit still inside my grief any longer. Snow was falling in fat, soundless flakes, the kind that make streetlights glow like halos. Unusually for North Dakota, there was little wind. I was 3 weeks past burying my mother. 3 weeks into the new vocabulary of loss, probate, hospice, estate. The house I'd inherited still smelled faintly of her. Lavender soap and toast, and every room seemed to wait for her to come back and say something about the weather. The cat crouched on the porch near the front door, sheltering, as if she had always belonged there. She was enormous, a plush thing with a coat the color of dark storm clouds, and eyes like amber coins held to the light. When I stopped, she didn't flinch. She regarded me with a calm, appraising stare. It was the look of someone older than explanation. I said, "Well, hello." She stood and stretched, each movement deliberate, ceremonial. Her tail curled like a question mark. I patted her head and said, "You've got the wrong house." She yowled. Then she turned, ready to go inside once the door was opened. She glanced over her shoulder at me. When I unlocked the front door, she burst inside and made a circuit of the rooms, nose low, whiskers brushing furniture, as if reading a story written in scent. She paused next to my mom's bedroom. Then she carefully paced around the room in a slow exploration. In a quick leap, she landed on the quilt that still lay folded at the foot of the bed, a careful habit my mom had kept even in her last months, as if tidiness might fend off the inevitable. I spoke softly, against my own feelings, saying, "You can't stay. I don't like cats." That was a lie. I had loved them once, as a child. My mom said they were guardians of thresholds and of souls. She said cats could walk between worlds, choosing people who needed them, not the other way around. I believed her, then grew up and learned better. I shelved wonder in favor of sturdier things, practical things, adult things. The cat padded down to the kitchen, where she sat beside the empty bowl my mother's old tabby cat had once used. She placed one paw delicately on the plastic rim and tapped twice, as if knocking. I fed her tuna fish from a can. She ate as though she'd been waiting for nourishment. She was not ravenous, but intent, savoring every swallow. When she finished, she washed her face and curled up on the rug by the fire. Her purr filled the room, a low, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards and into my bones. I slept deeply that night for the first time since I was at the hospital with my mom. In the days that followed, the cat became my constant companion. She appeared at dawn, sitting beside me on the bed, her weight anchoring me under the blankets. During the day, she followed me from room to room, a silent shadow. In those days, I sometimes cried. There were unexpected tears that ambushed me in the cereal aisle at Hombacher's or in the shower. When that happened at home, the cat would place a paw on my knee and look up, her eyes deep and knowing, as if she could see the shape of my pain and was not afraid of it. I eventually named her November, because she arrived at the end of summer, when the light begins to change, when you can feel the year turning toward loss. A neighbor, Mrs. Olson, commented over our adjoining hedge. She said, "That cat of yours, she just showed up, is that right? Funny thing, she looks just like the one your mother used to have. Different color, though." I shrugged, unwilling to examine the thought that stirred, half-formed and unsettling. November had a scar on her left ear, a small notch as though a bite had been taken out of perfection. My mother's tabby had the same mark. In the late afternoons, November would sit at the window and watch the darkness descend. Sometimes she chattered softly, a strange clicking sound, as if speaking to someone just beyond the glass. One night, I woke to find her standing on my bed, staring into my eyes, her pupils wide, her gaze intense. She watched me until my breath slowed. Then she lay down and slept. her back pressed against my heart. I began to dream again. In one dream, my mother stood in the kitchen, whole and strong, her hair pinned up the way she wore it when I was young. November sat at her feet, her tail flicking. Mom smiled at me and said nothing. When I woke, the house felt warmer, less empty. Then, November became ill. I couldn't tell what was wrong, but something was definitely amiss. The vet said she was getting old. It's hard to tell with cats. After listening to her heart, he said, I guess maybe 15. She's had a life. I said, she just showed up at my place. The vet smiled knowingly. Yeah, cats do that. The following year, winter came early. Snow piled against the windows, and the world narrowed to white and gray. November slept more and ate less. One morning, she did not wake me up. I found her in my mom's room, curled on the quilt that was folded neatly at the foot of the bed. Her breathing was shallow. She was trembling. I wrapped her in my arms and felt how light she'd become. I whispered, No, not you two. At the clinic, the vet spoke gently, words cushioned with compassion. He diagnosed kidney failure. She was comfortable now, he said, but she wouldn't be for long. We could try fluids, treatments, and buy some time. Or we could... His voice trailed off before finishing the sentence. I held November's head against my chest and listened to her purr, faint but steady. I thought of my mom, of the machines and tubes, of the way she'd squeezed my hand and said, Let me go. It's okay. I thought of all the ways we love by holding on, and the harder ways we love by letting go. The vet said, Stay with her. It will only take a moment. He patted my arm. I whispered my gratitude into November's fur. I told her she was a good cat, a beautiful one. I told her that she had saved me. As the injection flowed into her veins, her body relaxed, then slumped, the purr winding down like a clock at rest. Her eyes met mine one last time, and there was something there. It was a recognition, or farewell, or something beyond words. That night, the house was unbearably quiet. I lay awake, listening to the absence where November had been. Sometime near dawn, I dreamed. I stood in the doorway of the house, the world beyond washed in silvery moonlight. November sat on the porch, whole and young, her coat shining. She stared at me, her eyes bright. I said, Go on. It's all right. The words rose from a place deeper than thought. November hesitated, just for a moment, then stepped forward. As she did, the light shifted, and for an instant, I saw another shape beside her. It was a woman, as familiar as my own reflection. Then they were gone, moving together into whatever waits beyond our small knowing. I woke in the morning. The early August sunlight spilled across the floor. The ache in my chest was still there, but it had changed, softened at the edges. I got up and opened the window. Cool air flowed in, sharp and clean. I said, Thank you, to the empty room, to the memory of a cat who had been more than a pet. Thank you for finding me. Outside, somewhere beyond the trees, a bird sang, and for the first time in a long while, I believed, truly believed, that love does not end. It changes its shape, learns new ways to walk between worlds, leaving signs for us if we know how to look.